Hey there, friend. Have you ever thought ghostwriting sounded shady? Did you ever think there's no way somebody could take my words and actually sound like me? Did you think it's cheating to hire a professional writer to work with you on your book? If any of these sounds familiar at all, this video is for you. My name's Kelly Notaras. I'm the founder of KN Literary Arts. We are your one-stop shop, getting you from wherever you are to having a book in your hand, even if you need a professional writer to help you with it. And so visit us at knliterary.com to find out so much about what we do. I have also been a book editor in the US publishing business for over 25 years now, and I bring all of that wisdom to you right here on this YouTube channel for free. So please hit the subscribe button and that little bell icon so you never miss a video. Today I'm talking about something that honestly I feel like I've talked about a lot, but you can never talk about it too much because so many people wonder if it's even legit to use what's called a ghostwriter to get their book onto the page and into the world. The short answer is it is entirely legit. It is 0% shady or cheating or anything, and it happens more often than you'd think. So in today's video, what I want to do is bust some of the prevailing myths around whether or not you should use a ghostwriter, what a ghostwriter can do for you, and also whether or not they can be successful for you in getting your voice to the page. Number one is that ghostwriting is deceptive and cheating. That is so not the case. And I understand why people feel that way because the word ghost sort of sounds like creepy and like in the shadows or something. But the truth of the matter is that in the US publishing business, everyone knows a great book often requires both the author and an amazing writer who understands how books get put together. This is why I estimate 40 to 50% of nonfiction books are written with the help of a professional writer of books. Why would that be? If you've spent your whole career learning the information that you want to transmit to the world, you've been innovating, you've been working with clients, you've been doing, cooking or whatever it is that your book is about, you haven't been spending that time learning the craft of putting a book together. And that craft can be complicated, and it also takes a certain writing stamina to get the book done that you may not have because writing is not something that you love. So I always say that if you don't have the time, if you know you don't have the talent, or simply you don't have the interest in learning the craft of writing a book, why do it yourself? You can hire someone who already knows how to do it, who does this for a living, to create for you an extremely professional book. And guess what? If what your goal is to get to traditional publishers, they will be thrilled when they hear you're working with a professional writer. That way they know the book is actually going to get done and it's going to get done well. If you're a first-time author, they cannot count on you actually getting the book all the way to the finish line. Maybe you will, but maybe you won't, and they've been burned before. If you bring a talented, professional, practiced ghostwriter to the table, they will be excited and potentially even more likely to pick up your book. Ghostwriting myth number two, my book won't sound like me. I mean, that makes so much sense. If you're not a writer for a living, you don't understand that writers are putting themselves into the shoes of other people all the time. One of the things that's fun for a writer is to try to write like someone else, in someone else's voice. It's one of the many ways that people are taught how to write is to try writing in multiple different people's voices. If what you're doing for a living is writing, you are already practiced at the art of writing in other people's voices. So the thing is, they are going to be listening so carefully. This is what they do for a living. They're going to be reading things you've written. They're going to be interviewing you for important questions. They're going to be listening to workshop recordings that you've done. Maybe you have a video channel. Maybe you have a blog. They are going to be taking all of that information in and using their professional ghostwriting skill set to produce the book based on your content in your voice. Now, will every single word always be the word you would have chosen in that sentence? Of course not, but you will have the opportunity and the encouragement to go through and look at anything that stands out like a sore thumb and make adjustments to it, because they're not going to get every single word right. But if you're someone who is, sort of open-minded toward, oh yeah, that sounds like me, enough like me, this could be a great option for you. I will say there is one type of author who is very hard to ghostwrite for, and that is someone who is an artist with words already, who absolutely loves writing. A poet for example, or somebody who is writing all the time on social media or in blogs, but they just don't have time to actually write it, but they really want to, and they care a lot about word choice. If that is you, if you are an artist of words, it may not be the best choice for you. But most of the time, the clients we work with at KN Literary, when we provide ghostwriters, they're people who writing is not like their number one passion. It's something that maybe they know how to do, they could do, but it's not the thing that they care about the most. What they care about the most is the transmission of the information and the ideas and their story that they know they need to get to the page. And with that in mind, we can provide very adequate representation of their voice on the page, and we do it all the time. Ghostwriting myth number 3, well, if I've got a ghostwriter, I don't have to do anything. Absolutely not true. When you have a ghostwriter, their job is to take your content, structure it in a really solid book format, and get it to the page as a book. But they are not responsible for creating the content. That is yours. You are the author. They are just the writer. So as the author, you have to provide 100% of the content unless you are hiring someone to do some research on your behalf, which sometimes ghostwriters will do. But for the most part, it's the author's job to provide the content. It's the writer's job to organize it, to add transitions, to make sure that it feels and reads like a book. That's their job. Your job still is to get them all of the ideas, all of the stories. Now, how you do that, it might be, that you leave them voice memos. It might be that you like to jot down ideas. It might be that you have some journals you could pass along. You might have written newsletters or blogs. You might have videos. You might have recorded yourself teaching a workshop, or maybe you should do that. Maybe that's something that you want to do. A lot of times I encourage people to teach their content prior to putting it in a book. And a lot of times it can be a great way to bring a beta group together, teach the content, record it, or have your ghostwriter sit in on the class. And in that way, they get that transmission of what it is that you're trying to do. So there's lots of different ways it can be structured. Everybody does it differently. The ghostwriters we have at KN Literary have worked in a number of different ways, and they can make suggestions for how best you can get your ideas over to them. So again, all of the writing itself, forming it into a book, is the ghostwriter's job, but you as the author have to provide all of the ideas. That's why the book continues to be yours, even if someone else writes it, because all of the content is yours. You will have to show up and provide it. You'll also have to show up to review the work that's being done as it's being done. You need to make sure that it does feel like it's in your voice and be prepared to give feedback. You might need to give a couple different rounds of feedback to help guide that ghostwriter into the exact voice that you want them to have. So you need to show up, you need to be available, but the writing, the heavy lift of the writing is definitely going to be on the plate of your collaborative writer. Myth number 4, but what if that ghostwriter steals my ideas and publishes them as their own? I mean, I'm here to tell you, if you're working with a professional ghostwriter who has ghostwritten tons of books before, they are very unlikely to be wanting to write a book on the same topic as you, and it would be very obvious to see that they are doing that. Sometimes I will say, we've even had this at KN Literary, where the ghostwriter happens to be an expert in the same area that the book is being written about, and they will disclose that at the beginning. And if they are working on a book on the topic, they will disclose that at the beginning before you decide to move forward with them. So you can get a sense of whether or not you want somebody on the project who already has that experience and may be writing a book of their own on the topic. But this is a rare occurrence. Most of the time, what a ghostwriter does for a living is they write books for other people. They're not looking for content to steal and make into their own. And here's how I can tell you, and we get this question about editors, we get this question about publishers all the time. Here's the deal. If editors and ghostwriters stole people's book ideas, and that's how they decided to make their fortune, they would be out of a job so fast. It would be so obvious. They would get a bad reputation. They would no longer be hired for the work that they've been doing for years and years. It would be in as an editor's worst interest to steal one of my clients' ideas, and same goes for ghostwriters. So you really do not have to worry about that. I often say, it's more likely that your Facebook profile or Instagram profile is going to be stolen and, hacked than it is that a ghostwriter who's a professional person who hopefully you have seen a book list and maybe even talked to people who know their work That person has a reputation. That's what they do for a living. They're not here to steal your ideas. They are here to help you. The fifth and final, ghostwriting is just for celebrities. I mean, the truth is the vast majority of celebrities do use ghostwriters. I mean, there are very, very few. And when a celebrity writes the book themselves, it's usually something that the industry is like buzzing about, you know? Like Bob Dylan wrote his own book and everybody knew it. Barack Obama wrote his own book and everybody knew it, because it's so rare for someone who's got all that going on, whether you're a musician or a sports hero or a politician, you have so much in your life that you would have the long hours to sit down and write a book is just very, very rare. Only the people who really feel themselves to be writers and are excited about the idea of doing it are going to do it if they're a celebrity. So yes, it is a very common practice for celebrities to use ghostwriters, but that does not mean that there aren't plenty of normal people out there who are using collaborative writers, ghostwriters all the time. It is the case. As I said earlier, 40 to 50% of nonfiction books are written by someone whose name is not on the cover. Or if it's on the cover, it's got a with credit. So something like, John Doe with Jane Doe. And that with, you can always know, this is your industry tip for the day, that is their ghostwriter. If it says with, it is always a key tip-off that that book has been ghostwritten. Sometimes that is on the cover. Other times it's just on the title page inside the book, so you can look there. And sometimes someone will just leave an acknowledgement in their acknowledgement section. Oftentimes they'll say, I couldn't have done this book without the help of X. They don't, if they're burying it in their acknowledgements, they are not going to usually say this person was my writer, but they will say this book could not have been done without this person, and that's often the ghostwriter. So yes, celebrities are going to use them, but regular people do all the time. Here's the key. You need to have the ability to pay and hire that ghostwriter, which it's a lot of their time. They are, hopefully, I wouldn't do this if they weren't, a professional person. So you are going to make an investment. If you have that investment to make, if you know this book is going to up-level your business, for example, and bring in, 10 high-paying clients that would absolutely clear all the money you're going to spend on that ghostwriter, fabulous. If you have the investment to make, it is the thing to do. If you have the money but not the time, the talent, or the interest in writing it, a ghostwriter might be just the right person for you. So if you're interested in learning more, if you have this, we often hear this, it's like, oh my gosh, relief hearing that it's okay to use a ghostwriter, and that, they're not just for celebrities, and you actually want to talk to someone who can help you find the right ghostwriter. Of course, we would love to talk to you at knliterary.com. Hop on over there, read a little bit about ghostwriting, and schedule a call if you'd like to talk to us. But I hope this has cleared up the biggest misconceptions that are out there about ghostwriting, understanding that ghostwriting is a totally legitimate thing to use, a ghostwriter, and it's an amazingly legitimate job to have. We have some amazing writers out there here at our company and out there in the world who are spending their time helping others in the service of helping others get their book out into the world. It is an amazingly wonderful career, and something that I know a lot of my friends are excited by, because that is one way they can truly make their entire living off of writing, which is a very rare thing and something that's very precious. So I hope you consider using a ghostwriter if it's right for you. And either way, happy writing.